around. We're dazzled by this notion that we're blinded by pure devotion. It's hard for them, it's easy for us. Oh, you'll be there when I get home. And you'll hold my hand until I go. You'll never be alone, as far as I can tell. So hold me close, and don't forget me. Da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da. Da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da. Oh, you'll be there when I get home. And you'll hold my hand until I go. You'll never be alone, as far as I can tell. So hold me close, don't forget me. Da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da. Don't forget me. Da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da. Don't forget me. 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 Don't forget me.
Oof. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Post-Mortem show with Nobbins. Man City getting the job done against Forest in the end. Not convincingly at all, but ultimately at this stage of the season, as we'll get into, all that matters is getting the win. Performances are largely moot and largely irrelevant at this moment in time. And as Matty says here, we got the result we needed. I totally agree with that. Again, at this point, all that matters is the result. Performances are an added bonus. All we've got to do is win, 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 win. And that is 4 wins we need. So in today's show, we're going to be doing what we always do in these post-mortems. We'll be talking about the game which just transpired. We'll be talking about the main talking points. Why were City so poor? Were City poor? Yes, they were. Why weren't Forest able to win? I think we all know the reason. That was the case. And we'll be talking about the title race, obviously, and your guys' questions and your guys' thoughts, and also the individual performances, as well as John O'Hare says Kyle had a stinker. Yes, there were some very, very worrying performances out there today, weren't there? Indeed. Let's start, shall we, with... What shall we start with? My thoughts going into it, you'll know this if you join us for our watch-alongs. If you don't, what you're doing, make sure you join next time. My thought going into this game was that this is potentially the hardest game that we've got left in the run-in. I thought Brighton away wasn't going to be too much trouble because we know how they play football, and it's like perfectly suited to how we, they can't out City. So we knew that was going to be relatively fine. Wolves at home, West Ham at home, you'd expect us to win. Fulham away, not saying it's going to be easy by any means, but they're safe in respect to the relegation race. That's fine. So the two ones for me, the really obvious one was Spurs away. But there's just a part of me which thinks that they're going to, as they did against Arsenal today, give us give us a fair few chances, I think. So I think that might be reasonably high scoring, and we might concede a couple, but I think we will outscore them. The Forest one today was the one, as I say, I put a little asterisk next to it. That might be the one where we drop some points, because Forest were probably going to play a back five, as we saw them do. They were not going to. They were going to try to limit our chances, obviously going to try to limit the space, and they've got those terrifying wide players in respect of their pace and on the counter-attack, and we all know that that's the last thing City want to deal with. So this was going to be a difficult game. So the fact we won it is genuinely mega. It is massive that we have been able to do it, regardless of the actual performance. We will get into the performance, of course, but I just think it's important to preface this whole show. Whatever I say from now, I think it's important to preface it by saying, who cares? And we did get the win, and that is what matters ultimately in the grand scheme of things. So yeah, we'll also talk about the performance, but as needs to be known that it's not too essential at this moment in time. We got the 3 points. That is the key. That is what is crucial. Obviously, we need to play better in our remaining 4 games. I personally think we will, but we'll get into why it necessarily wasn't very good today. Shout out Daniel says, any City fan who says we should sell De Bruyne is an idiot 100%. Thank you so much, Andrew, for the super chat. We'll get to your message in a moment. Thank you so much, Andrew, for your generous support and for making me bald. The attack stank without Foden, says Daniel. Yeah, Phil was a huge mistake. We'll get into that when we talk about the midfield dynamics. So yeah, for Saudi Arabia. Hello, Bree. Great result. We're unhappy if we sold Walker. It shouldn't be our captain. I agree, Bree. Abba says, it's Haaland coming in. Grealish going out, change the balance for City. Yes, definitely Haaland coming on. How many times City deserve to win and didn't this season? It can be one lucky win. Oh yeah, Frat, I'm not trying to suggest that, it's a disgrace that City won and didn't deserve to win. I think it's happened only twice this season, really, in the league, where we've got a result where I didn't feel like we deserved it. I think, it's only happened a couple of times. I think of maybe Bournemouth away, because the second half we got overran, and today, probably. Outside of that, I feel like, at Wolves, I didn't feel like we deserved to lose that. Liverpool at home, I feel like we deserve to win that. Oh, I guess I'm Anfield, actually. I didn't feel like we deserved a draw there. But yeah, it's definitely happened more so where I felt that City deserved the win and we didn't get it, rather than the other way around. So I'm not going to be too upset about it, to be honest. Yeah, Ortega was a great. Hopefully Edison's fine. Levi says, hard win in the end. Haaland shows his on-ball brilliance. 100%. Yeah, lovely little touch. And finishing on his weak foot, that is massive. He needs to do that more. He's not got a terrible right foot, but too often he's too predictable in terms of where he wants to position it. I was amazed that he fashioned the chance to go on his right. I really thought he was going to try his absolute most to try to bend it in with his left, so I was really happy to see him formulate a better chance for himself with his right foot, and that's a chance of Haaland's own making, by the way, guys. That was really good to see. Ayushi, hello, one of my lovely members. Everyone saying the pitch was very dry. Guardiola said it affected them as well. Maybe a reason for a rough game. I think that's being very generous. I think that there were just certain players who did not have good performances, and certain players who we normally associate with being calm, collected, composed in respect to their passing. We just didn't see that today. I'm not gonna give them the excuse of the pitch. I think they've just got to do better, to be honest. Spurs, Puneet, not just Spurs away, mate. Fulham away, Wolves at home, West Ham at home. Every game is a must-win. We can't drop points. I'm now of the. We'll get into the title race more intently later, actually. But yeah, especially with Arsenal's result today. No, we've got to just win everything. Hello, IFL. This game showed City can win it even when they don't perform. Plus a clean sheet. True. It is important to be able to win when you aren't playing well. And yeah, Andrew says your favourite manager got smashed 3-0 versus Bournemouth. You guys do know I do like to serve it. And again, Andrew, thank you so much for the super chat, mate. Genuinely means the world. Yeah, so I mean, we normally talk about like the bad stuff first of all, and then we get into the better stuff. So that's what we'll do. Second City, thank you so much again, incredibly generous super chat. Thank you so much. He's really helped me out, guys. So it genuinely means the world. Not bad for a League Two player. This Roy Keane guy is like refusing to back down on this assertion. Like just in like the post-match Sky analysis, he was asked by tongue in cheek by the I don't know what the host is called, but he said, "Oh, not bad for a." He said this. He said, that wasn't bad for a League Two player, was it? And again, like Keane, like being very cautious with his wording and always making sure to say, of course, Haaland's a great goal scorer. He's not backing down on his general play assertion, which is mad to me because we all saw how good it was when he came on. So the fact that he's like doubling down, tripling down, and just not really backing away from it, it just screams bad analysis, obviously. I don't even know what else. But yeah, Second City Saint, thank you so much for the super chat. Yeah, we'll start with the less good stuff. We'll get on to the better stuff, like the Haaland situation. This was always going to be a tricky game, as we've discussed. You know, they've got pacey wide players like Aina, however you pronounce it. Their left wing back, I thought he was very good today. I thought he was actually more of a threat than both Elanga and Hudson-Odoi, to be honest. He was probably one of their better attackers today. So we knew that they were going to cause us issues and cause us problems on the counter. But what I didn't really anticipate was where those counter attacks would be created from a Forest perspective. I thought they were going to be basically, we'd be camping around Forest's box. They'd have 10 men behind the ball, whatever. And then we lose it either via a shot or a tackle interception. And then they're quickly on the break and countering us. That's not really what happened. I mean, it happened a few times, but for the most part, we were our own worst enemy in terms of we were allowing them these fake transitions from just the middle of the pitch, not even in their defensive thirds often. Really loose balls from, I'm looking at Bernardo Silva. I'm looking at Rodri in particular. Those two were notorious for it today. Again, two players who you would go, they're calm, collected on the ball. They're going to know what they're doing. Really bad. It's another worryingly bad performance by Rodri, who's not had outside of the Brighton game where he was given a slightly different role. I don't think he's had a great game since Real Madrid at home. Maybe I thought it was bad against Madrid away. It was bad against Chelsea in the FA Cup. He was not good against Villa and Palace either, I think, if memory serves. He wasn't good today. Thank God there is a week now between now and the next game. The next game's on Saturday. Send him away to Spain on holiday and just chill out and vibe, because he needs, I don't know if he's tired, fatigued, mentally, physically, whatever. He needs a reset. He needs to he just needs to reset, because he just keeps making these really weird errors, which is so unlike him. It's so sloppy. And Shadika says, hey, do you think Rodri's burnt out? Maybe. He's played... No, it's not only the amount of minutes he's played, it's the role in which he has been given, where he's been tasked with doing everything in the midfield. Not only is he being asked to be the defensive midfielder, he's also being asked to get involved in every single phase of play and be this all-encompassing, imperious midfielder. And without the right support, he just can't... That's not sustainable, and he can't do that. So, yeah, I'm guessing that's maybe why he is burnt out. That will get addressed in the summer, but right now, we need to address it by just, as I say, I don't know how many days it's going to take, but just let him chill out and let him relax, because he's going to have to feature in every single game from now to the end of the season. The opportunity to rest him was the Chelsea one in the FA Cup. That didn't happen, so he's not getting rested. That's the thing. But the Bernardo Silva one's weird. I don't quite... No, I don't know. I don't know the minutes he's played, to be fair. Maybe he's played a similar number of minutes and is also burnt out. But once again, I'm asking questions of Bernardo's passing game in recent days and giving away the ball. And if you give away the ball, especially away from home, especially in the midfield, you're going to egg on the opposition crowd. You're going to egg on their players, obviously. And when we know... shout out LB. When we know that all they want to do is counter-attack, the last thing we need to do is let them feed into that. Do you see what I mean? But that's exactly what we did. So that was a big error from me. That was a big error from City for me. That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah, shout out to LB for the raid. If you are joining from LB's channel, thank you so much, guys. Please leave a like on the video if you like me. If you don't like me, then don't leave a like on the video, but if you're here, I assume you do, so please leave a like. It is free. Let's get to I don't know, first goal, 100 likes, whatever. Let's do that. Yes says AK. Yeah, shout out to LB. The finishing was really bad. It was 100%. Yeah, we just touched on whether Rodri's burnt out. There's a big potential for that. Paul says send them all on a 4-day break. Rest. De Bruyne now has most assists in all comps for a Prem player. That is insane, Icarus, if that is correct. That is a madness. Roger looks comfortable with Kova beside her. And that's the thing. Now, let's cast our minds back, guys, to the Bournemouth game away from home. First half was absolutely fine, but the second half, it was so obvious that it was getting away from us in terms of the game. So what did Guardiola do in that moment? He took off Haaland, our only outlet at the time, and he took off Kovacic, who was essential and a calming presence in that game, and he brought on Doku and De Bruyne, if memory serves, two aggressive attacking players who are not control-based, and taking off our outlet and our main controller in that situation. That was a massive mistake, as it transpired, and somehow we got away with the win. But it was a massive mistake at the time. I remember going on a massive tirade on one of these post-mortems because I think the title of that post-mortem was from control to chaos, and it was mad. He's learnt, because the halftime substitution was essential. This game wasn't necessarily on paper on the surface screaming out for a Kovacic. I didn't think we would be that loose on the ball, but as it transpired, it was a necessity that Kova was brought on, because we had no calming presence or influence. Normally that's Rodri, normally that's Bernardo Silva, normally that's Grealish, but they weren't doing that. Well, Grealish was to a lesser extent, but the two main people in the midfield, Rodri and Bernardo, were not providing that. They weren't providing that. So we had to change that, and thankfully he did do that. Doku struggled. Excuse me. Doku struggled. I feel bad for him, because I felt like he deserved the start, because he has been playing well recently, but I don't know what it was. He just couldn't do it today. Same with Walker. That whole right side was terrible. I would love to know the amount of XG generated by Forest from their left-hand side. I would love to know that, because it was mental. They clearly decided that our right side was a weakness, with Aina, Hudson-Odoi being the main perpetrators on their left and compared to our right. I feel like Doku was a bit slow in terms of going back to support Walker, and Walker, oh my word, one of the worst performances I've seen from a City player this season. I don't think that's an understatement. He was abhorrent, terrible, trash. I don't want to sound like I'm bullying him or whatever, but it was really, really pitiful how bad he was. He was getting beaten for pace too frequently. His body was being manipulated too much, so he didn't know where to position his legs. There was one moment where, he actually made the clearance, which is fair enough, but even that he managed to make it, even that looked like visibly hilarious when he fell over. Someone in my chat said it looked like he was playing Twister. It was exactly that. Even when he was doing like the right thing, it still looked awkward and weird. And the worst one for me, guys, the worst moment for me, in fact, I'd be interested to hear you guys in the chat. What was your least favourite or your worst Walker moment in that game? It's so annoying because he played well against Brighton, obviously, going forwards. Shall I tell you my least favourite Walker moment from today? It was the first half. I think we're 1-0 up. The game's going away from us. We need everyone to switch on, yeah? Everyone's got to be fully alert. Play to the whistle. That's a no-brainer. That is a necessity. Forest had a free kick, and they play it quickly. And are our players switched on? Are they ready? Are they prepared? It's down Walker's side. Is he ready and waiting to, deal with a potential one? No, he's walking away, not even looking at the ball, walking away slowly, or maybe upset that a foul was given or something. I can't remember if it was Doku or Walker who fouled, but go watch the replay if you can. He's when that quick free kick happens, he's not looking at the ball at all. He's just like walking away, like sluggish, like shoulders down, just like slowly. And it's like, and they generate a really good chance from that. And then the ball comes in, Forest are clever, they play it quickly, and a dangerous cross comes in. It doesn't lead to anything ultimately, but it could have done. It very easily could have done. And that was luck. That was nothing to do with good defense. That was luck. That Forest's finishing and their final action today was terrible. And again, that's on Walker. He was really, really, really bad. And I thought we were past this. There was a period in the season where, like, every single video I did, I'd talk about Walker and how bad he was. He improved. for a time. And I was like, great, yeah. And then I made it a point to praise him whenever he did well. And he's just regressed. He has just regressed. And it's not even like... There are some moments where you can obviously blame Pep, because if you're playing Walker at right wing and you're criticising Walker's finishing or bad crossing as I have done, it's ultimately not his fault because he's not being played there. But there was so much today where he was just being played in his normal position in a normal circumstance, and he just couldn't deal with it. The amount of crosses that we allowed to come in, the defending was cowardly at times from our right side in particular. Again, just not bothering to close down opposition crosses when we know that Chris Wood in the air is probably going to be a big threat. Ultimately, he wasn't in terms of his finishing. But why are we giving them that opportunity? That really annoyed me. I thought that was amateur almost. Like that does not scream Manchester City captain and one of the players who's played the most amount of minutes this season. How many minutes he's played now? But it's a lot. Maybe the most of any of our defenders. It was ridiculously bad. And if there's not, I don't know what conversations need to be had, but I'm just at the stage now where I wanted Walker to be extended. And I still think there is a place for him in this squad, to be fair. But it must not be as a starter. It has got to be as a backup option, as a squad player. He is not good enough to start for Man City anymore, I'm afraid to say. He's done as a starter, in my opinion. It's not just today, but that was terrible. And we are very, very fortunate we didn't concede. Again, how many times did they attack down their left, down our right? Doku didn't help him out, to be fair, defensively. Didn't help out in terms of the passing and giving it away. But they clearly in the same way that for I think it was last season, basically every single goal in the first half of the season that Liverpool conceded was down their right. Why? Because teams identified the weakness. Teams identified Trent as a weakness. They picked on him. They got the reward. That's what Forest did to us. They looked at our fullbacks. They looked at where they were going to get the most joy. They're like, shall we attack down the middle? Shall we attack down down City's left? No, let's target Walker. Let's go down there right. That was clearly what was happening. Because again, over and over and over and over and over again. Gvardio did very well, by the way. And that's a centre-back playing out there. So really frustrating. Really, really frustrating. And one of the worst performances I've seen from any City player this season. I could not believe it. I couldn't believe it. He did struggle, but again, hits there. I do know this because I literally did an analysis video on Liverpool. Like, there was a point where they conceded like 20-odd goals and like 18 came down their right. It was mental. Walker should be used as a trump card against players like Vinicius or Kylian of their profile. Yeah, there is, and that's why I'm reluctant to say get rid of him and sell him, because for me, there is still a world in which he is a good squad option. There is still a world. And again, there is a very specific threat. For example, FA Cup final, I think he should probably start. Why? Because of the very specific threat of Rashford. That's fine. But outside of these very specific threats, I don't see the value. Thank you, Andrew. Again, you're very generous, mate. I'm just not seeing the value. And if it's getting to the point now where again he can't even deal with these pacey wide players, then what's the point? We're just getting to the stage now where it's just a liability, and it's really, really concerning. To be honest, I don't know if I want him to. I don't know if I want him to even like. I don't want to see outside of injury. I don't want to see him start another game for City in the Premier League. That's not hyperbole. I want Akanji to be out there on the right. That's what I want. Everyone knows my thoughts on this. Akanji should be our starting right back. But it's I don't know. I don't know. We've got Wolves at home, West Ham at home. I think Akanji can deal with them. Spurs away. Depends who they play on the left, but. You're saying that, but Walker couldn't deal with Brennan Johnson when he switched over to the left of the Etihad. Do you remember that last? Do you remember the last-minute goal, or the 90-minute equaliser by Spurs? Again, it came from Walker's side because he refused to close down Brennan Johnson for some ungodly reason. So it's not even. So I might be contradicting myself here, but even if there is a specific threat, he should be able to deal with. He can't. History tells us he can't. So yeah, it's just. Frustrating. That's my Walker rant. I think I covered everything there. Yeah. In sum, I'm not laying the blame all at his feet. We'll get into other bad performances, but he was terrible. That is fair to say. He was god awful. Today. Really, 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 really bad. Oh yeah, don't LB. I have, mate. Hopefully that's what you were after. Bad positional places, Paul. I think I agree with you, mate. 100%. Centre half, so here is the game. I thought the rest of the defenders were solid, by the way. Akanji, good. Ake, good. Gavardio, good. I was very happy with the rest of them. I know it was offside, but that Ake one where he somehow gets back and ends up clearing the ball, it was well offside. But the fact he was able to deal with that, brilliant. I thought that was really good. We just weren't, in my opinion, we weren't aggressive enough outside of our own box. We were too hesitant to close down the crosses before they came in. We didn't. It's almost like we didn't want to snuff out the attacks at source. And we were happy to try to deal with it in the box. And I was like, no, I don't want us to be doing that against Chris Wood, to be honest. Elba says, protecting a Walker all season, don't know why anymore. He makes some silly mistakes where he just switches off. Bad game state, yeah. But and sadly, Herbal, again, I don't have a Walker agenda. I like Kyle. Best right back in Premier League history, in my opinion. I still think he's got a place in the squad, but he has been our worst player by a fair margin and distance, and it's not even close. Bordering on liability at times in some of these games. Today is an example of that. This is generational hating, LNobbins. I completely agree. Indeed. Walker gone in the summer, says Nitin potentially. City will drop points to Spurs to join. We'll get into the title race, don't worry. But yeah, thank you so much, Andrew, again for this super chat, mate. Again, really generous of you. If Spurs lose to Chelsea and Liverpool and Villa beat Brighton, I think Spurs can't get top four, so might be on the beach. I've never thought about it like that. It is, to be fair, it is our penultimate game, so maybe that would be a situation. Warburg's been a liability for you guys here. Carnivore, I agree. Too many. It's happening too frequently, and it's happening too consistently. We've been saying it since October, November time. So this isn't new information. And Stones was on the bench, so I don't know if he was injured. But if we need our defenders to defend against Brighton, didn't matter as much. But against a team like Forest, I am surprised that Akanji did not start at right back and Stones in centre back, unless he's injured. Walker, yeah, Daniel, he wants him to go to Saudi Arabia. I'll say it again. I still think that there's a place for him in this squad. I still think that's a thing. Bob, talk about him. He's good. He'll boom like Foden's code. Yeah, we could talk about Bob later. 100%. Only keep walking for the dressing room and Carabao games. And Elder, that's a very good point. That was another reason why I did want Walker to stay, and I was happy with the extension because we were losing a lot of leaders, Gundogan, Mahrez, senior players like Gundo, Mahrez. If Walker were another one, that would have been tricky. But I didn't foresee the elevation in terms of his importance or perceived importance. I did not see that coming. Had I known that was going to happen, I would have been against it, but it wasn't. Gavard's improving so much, going to be world class. I agree, Andy. We've got one of the most exciting defending prospects ever, to be honest. All in good time, this and all in good time. I might have changed my mind as well, to be fair. I don't actually know. I might have changed my mind. Akanji, Stones, Ake, Gavardio, Rodders, De Bruyne, Foden, Grealish, Haaland, Doku next game, says Steve. I'm glad it's not only me who says Rodders. Sounds like Walker be a sub, I agree. Bob to boom like Foden. I think, yeah, there's a wonderful player in Bob. Who's my celebrity crush? Asks Barry. Probably Demi Rose. Lone Gundo for Spurs game. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? Jackson says, City got lucky. Yeah, I totally agree. Right. Yeah, so that's the Walker run. I feel like I've gone in quite hard in there. We touched on Doku. Disappointing from him. Wasn't really... I don't think he was terrible in the first half, but it was certainly a big downgrade compared to what we have seen in recent games. Again, giving the ball away in silly areas. He wasn't the only one. Bernardo, Rodri, Kevin De Bruyne not giving it away in not ideal moments. Alvarez can't quite figure out what he's offering in these games. To be honest, I still haven't quite figured that out. We looked so much better when Haaland came on, and we will be talking about that in a moment. Grealish, I thought, was fine. I thought the substitution was mental. I went insane when I saw that Grealish sub. Because I was like, we've got to take off Alvarez, surely. But Grealish was injured. Like, he had the ice pack on his knee, so fine. That was fine for him to come off. That was all good. The subs changed the game in City's favour. Even with the subs, we still didn't look brilliant. Like, Kovacic came on. That was essential. I've touched on why, because we needed that control. We needed that balance. I mean, Kovacic isn't an out-and-out metronome, but he's certainly that vibe of player. So it was essential for him to come on and Doku to come off for the reasons we've outlined. But yeah, Haaland coming on was also massive. I think he came on, was it like around the 70-ish minute, something like that. Alvarez gets lost in these games. He gets too crowded out too easily. When teams are pressing us, he doesn't offer an outlet if we need to go long. His first touch isn't good. His general play isn't that good. So it means that it means that if we're trying to get out, whether it's via a long ball or whether intricate play, it's just not an ideal situation to be in. Haaland coming on, also changed the game. It was a very good sub by Pep. It was crying out for him, to be honest. And when Haaland came on, it was very evident as well that the Forest backline clearly backed off a little bit. And gaps started to open up between that defence and that midfield. And that's how we scored that second goal. De Bruyne exploiting that gap, which I think was created by Haaland. Ball in. And I thought that it was brilliant. I was so convinced that Haaland was going to shape it, to like bend it with his left foot. The fact that he cut inside with his right foot, which he should use more, by the way, too often, he forces the play onto his left foot when the shot is just not on. He needs to trust his right foot more, because he's not got a bad right foot. It's not brilliant, but it's not bad. And it is actually a fantastic finish, to be fair to him. Yeah, that changed. Kovacic coming on changed the game, in my opinion, from more of a control perspective. Haaland was the final nail in the coffin in that respect. Even without the goal, we just looked a lot calmer and just nicer in general on the ball, because now we know that if you play it long to him, maybe he can win it. In terms of the link-up play, maybe he can hold off and get the other players involved. That's exactly what he did. That's what we were lacking when Alvarez was up there, who in these games, he struggles. I think we need a bit of a reset with Alvarez. We need to figure out what is his role in this squad. Is there a system or formation change where we can play him and Haaland and get the best out of both of them? Because he's struggling. I think he's struggling. I don't think that's unfair to say. Whether it's at 9, whether in the midfield, it's not been great. We don't need to sell him. That's too far. There is a very good player in Alvarez, but we do have to work on that. Definitely. Why would Spurs want to win and give time to Arsenal? But Andy, it's not that simple. Football's not that simple. You know, like Ange isn't going to go, you know what, guys, actually, because Arsenal are our arch rivals, let's roll over for City. They won't do that. Like footballers, well, they've got too much like professional pride to do that. Pep saying Stones for Spurs and United. Well, we need him now, sub. We need him now. DJ says Walker comes across as a mental issue than him physically going off a cliff. Yeah, because, I mean, is he as quick as he once was? No, probably not. I don't know the exact amounts, but he's still got a lot of pace. It is, you're right, it is weird decision-making. I think that maybe he's lost a lot of confidence as well. Is there an injury? I don't know. I'm not going to use that as an excuse. If he's injured, he should say and he shouldn't play. He should be saying, I'm injured, I'm not good enough to play right now. People have talked about the stuff going on in his personal life. Again, I don't know how much sympathy I have for that. If you feel like your performances are going to be impacted, say, and then get taken out of the team. Walker stank, Edison stank, Bernardo stank, Alvarez stank, says Daniel, yeah, Edison. Oh gosh, you guys know I love Edison, but he was bad. He was flapping at everything, getting into trouble, not defending his box, not being dominant in his box at all. It was a bad game from Edison, 100%. Doc is starting to start away from home. So yeah, there's still a long way to go, but there's no doubt a fantastic player in there, but it's too soon for him to become that guy. That's for sure. I like him on both wings, to be fair. I think that the right is my preferred one, but there we go. Walker's exhausted, says Telson, maybe. Maybe, I don't know. Wait, what? Gregs, who are you, by the way, on Twitch? What's your Twitch name? Can you let me know? Thank you, mate. We've got over 300 people watching, which is a madness. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. Could we please get to 150 likes? That'd be lovely. Get involved in the chat as well. This is an interactive show. Get your questions in, your comments, your thoughts. If you've got any questions about the game specifically, or anything about City in general, or about anything in general. Someone asked me earlier who my celebrity crush was. So that's the thing. Yeah. So Haaland coming on was massive. We probably. I'm amazed we got a clean sheet. I was very, very convinced. Oh, you're Scorpio. Thank you, Scorpio. Yeah. Greg's good. Is there a possibility, Greg, that you can change your YouTube name to Scorpio? You don't have to, but if you could, that'd be ideal. Just because I've got a very tiny brain. Yeah, the Haaland one changed the game. I was so convinced we were not keeping a clean sheet. I was so convinced we were going to concede. Thank God that Forest's offensive players are or were bad today. Elanga, Hudson-Odoi, Wood were terrible in terms of their final action. Whether it was a bad finish, whether it was a bad cross, bad pass. When it mattered most, someone in the chain did badly. So maybe Elanga gets into a good position, but bottles the cross. But on another situation, Elanga gets into a brilliant position. That time he beat... Oh, no. You know how earlier I said that my worst Walker one was where he had his head down, wasn't looking. I said I was going to stop talking about Walker, but I've just remembered this. I can't. The one where Elanga just somehow bypasses through his entire body and Walker ends up falling over on his arse or whatever, and Elanga squares it to Chris Wood, who has just got to tap it in, and then Gavadio somehow ends up clearing it because he bottles the chance. That was maybe the worst one, to be fair. I've forgotten that happened. I erased it from my memory. I don't know, like some Harry Potter pensive bullshit to get it out of my brain. I can't believe I forgot about that. That was terrible. Yeah, so even when Elanga got into the right position, let's shout out to Tony, who says, even when Elanga got into those good positions, Wood, thankfully, capitulated and bottled it. On another day, let's have a look at the XG. What was Chris Wood's XG today? He had 3 shots. He had an XG of 0.84. He missed 2 big chances. 0.84 is generous. I thought it was much more than that. Gvardio made a brilliant block. He did, but again, he's got to score that. Come on. We can applaud the block, that's fine, but it came at Gvardio at a snail's pace. A competent finisher scores that goal. Let's all be honest. It was akin to Lukaku's Champions League final performance against us, to be fair. It wasn't good. But yeah, so we were very, very lucky that happened. The long and short of it is that this was hopefully a one-off, and we've just got 4 more league games. I'm not even thinking about the FA Cup right now. We've got 4 more league games. We cannot play like that again, otherwise we will probably lose or drop points. And a draw at this stage is basically a loss, because if we drop any points, I'm convinced that we don't win the title. We've got to win all 4. We must not play like that against anyone else, or otherwise we are going to get shafted, to be honest. That's why I alluded to it earlier. We've got a week off now, around I know it's 6 days because it's Saturday, but still basically a week off. Reset. Just it's at home against Wolves. That is a relatively easy game, or should be a relatively easy game. We're a lot better than Wolves. We are at home. I know Wolves have some good players, etc. We should be beating them. We've then got a further week off until we've got to go away to Fulham. So that's big. That's big. We've just, as I said, we've just got to put that down to bad day at the office in terms of performance. Let's reset, and we go again against Wolves at home. And hopefully we can batter them. It's very, very unlikely that we make goal difference a relevant thing, given the gap. I think the gap right now is 7, I think. So that there is technically a world in which it can happen. We would have to hope that Arsenal only just win by 1 or 2 goals at a time, and we would need at least 2 batterings, I think. Unlikely. Not impossible, but unlikely, that's for sure. The Lukaku's defensive masterclass in the game will go down in City history 100%. Would Lukaku, Company Walker are City's best defenders of all time? Yeah, shout out Chris Wood. To win all 4, we are champions, and that's a great position, 100%, Andy. We talk about De Bruyne in these important games. Well, De Bruyne wasn't good today in terms of his overall performance. But the good thing about De Bruyne, as we know by the stage, De Bruyne can have a very, very average, doesn't happen often, but he can have a very average or subpar game, but he will still deliver the goods when the moment arises. That's why I'm very reluctant to take off De Bruyne, even if he's having a bad game, unless other circumstances demand it. We somehow scored from a set piece, from a corner specifically. How? I don't know. To be fair, they didn't have all players on the pitch. Maybe that's why, but who cares? And then the ball, and then the position he took up for the second goal was fantastic. I talked about it before. Haaland coming on, I think, pushed Forest defence back. The gaps opened up. De Bruyne appreciated, recognised this. He placed himself perfectly in that pocket of space. On the turn, bam, sees Haaland, perfect ball in. We love to see that. We touched on the Haaland finish. So yeah, I wasn't necessarily happy with De Bruyne's performance, but I was obviously happy with his output. And the thing with De Bruyne is, again, in those moments, he is key and he is crucial. SK says we have to win the remaining games. No doubt about it. And we knew that. We knew that since the Arsenal draw. We all sat here and said, we've got to win 9 out of 9 to have a chance. To have a chance of that happening. I don't think Arsenal drop points now. I was convinced they were going to maybe... Oh no, they did drop points against Villa. I was going to say I was convinced they were going to drop points in their remaining 9 games. They did. I thought maybe there was a potential for them to drop points again. Obviously, that hasn't happened yet. If it was going to happen, it was today. I haven't yet caught up on the full Arsenal Spurs game, but apparently they were relatively fortunate to get the win today. That's what I've been told, so I will be catching up on that. So if they were going to drop points today, it had to be today. It hasn't happened. Maybe it's a similar thing for City. This was maybe the game we were going to drop points in, and yet we didn't, which is key. Shaquille says, and then we batter Wolves and cut that goal difference again, unless we batter another team, unless we batter Fulham away. I don't think it's going to matter. Edison should be on number 2. I'm not sure I agree with that, Gervais. Edison's still class. After today, Fulham feels tricky. Again, Cheryl, I'm hoping it's a relative one. I'm hoping it's mental fatigue, physical fatigue. We also didn't have Foden today, who has been our best player this season. I think Foden was a massive miss today, a huge miss. He would be tailor-made for the midfield of these games. And he was just sick. He's not injured. He was just sick. Same with Ruben Diaz as well. He was just sick. So hopefully Foden will be available to start our 4 remaining games, especially with that enforced rest. Mr. Roll says had to get Grealish off the pitch so we could score the winner. Grealish was injured. Mr. Roll, Grealish was injured. I thought Grealish played well when he was on the pitch, to be fair. And if he wasn't injured, we should have kept him on because we needed him, because we needed his foul winning, and we needed the calmness that he brings, because that's what that was a point in the game where we just didn't have any. As an Arsenal fan, hello Bjorn. As an Arsenal fan, our game was not that great today. We were too deep, struggled to connect with the passes, but clinical, and that's the power of being good at set pieces as well. To be fair, isn't it, Bjorn? If you are good at corners, you don't necessarily need to be that good from open play. This is where United can hand us 2 titles. Yeah, the Old Trafford game is a weird one, isn't it? Because there is a world in which United can somehow shithouse a 0-0 or a 1-1, like they somehow got a draw against Liverpool. Unlikely, but there is a world in which that happens. There are certain intangibles, for sure. I don't think Arsenal are dropping points. I agree. Pep's Marogin to the ground. Yeah, big up to you, Hellboy. Herbal says, it's when you least expect it. Arsenal drop points. Wouldn't surprise me if they did. You're not wrong there. It would be nice if they drop points, just so we have a little bit of a safety blanket, so we know that if we, mess up against Spurs, then we can still, it's still in our own hands. It's in our, our destiny is in our own control. Whether it will happen, I'm not so sure, but we will see what we see. We're going to drop points to Spurs. We didn't win there in the league, says Samesh. Hey, records there to be broken and all that. So there is. If it's similar to the FA Cup game where somehow we only scored 1 goal, then we will win and we'll be fine. But I'm 50-50 at this stage. Liverpool are out. There's no doubt about it. Liverpool are out. Absolutely. I don't care if they're mathematically still in it. They're gone. They're not involved anymore. It's now a 50-50 coin toss for me between City and Arsenal. And just a brief aside. I've maintained this across the season. This has been a weak Premier League season in respect to the top teams. In terms of the main 3 going for the title across the season. This has been a weak league. If Man City win the league, obviously there's been no De Bruyne for half the season. If Man City win this league title, in my opinion, it would be the worst Pep sides to win the Premier League. Sort of maybe on par with that 2020-21 side in lockdown. I'd have that one slightly higher just because they're a bit more defensively resolute. But you know what I mean? This isn't a vintage Pep Man City side. It's a far cry from what we saw, especially towards the latter stages of last season. Centurions, Formidables, etc., etc. Liverpool were, before the season started, some people had them in like 4th, 5th, and they found themselves involved in a title race when they need a massive rebuild everywhere else. Arsenal, if Arsenal win the Premier League, this will be the worst Arsenal side to ever win the Premier League. This would be their worst team by a fair margin. It's not as good as their 98 winning team. It's not as good as their 2002 winning team. It's not as good as their 2004 winning team. This isn't a really good season. So I don't actually know what I'm saying there. I guess I just sort of wanted to have a bit of a rant. No, this is what I'm saying. That tells me that even when it's one of the worst City sides, we can still go out and win the title. That's the thing. I guess that's what I'm trying to say there. Asville's unexpected. True. 4 finals for us. Got to win them all. Yep, it's sub. That's how it works. I've got Arsenal as favourites. I have hard time seeing us get 3 points away at Spurs. Hey, it could happen. If United do beat Arsenal, I would let them have an FA Cup for a 4-peat. Carnfall says, if Haaland's fans form again, then you guys will win against Spurs for sure. And they'll give us some space as well, hopefully. We need new ideas. Our tactics look dead for us with a better side today. I don't think that was anything to do with tactics. I think that was just due to a sloppiness, to be honest. I'm not sure it was about that. Hello, the citizen. Where are you going to make your take on Grealish is wrong? Well, if you think that, citizen, you're not going to enjoy these shows where we actually talk rational sense. Spider says, you what? Nahan says, it's Spurs. Klopp needs to get sacked, not retire. Looking forward to your tactical brief for the Spurs game, says sub. Yeah, we don't really do previews on this channel, to be fair, but we will definitely have some live shows before. We'll do a touchline talk on Wednesday morning, and we can obviously talk about the Spurs game at that point, for sure. True Dog says, we aren't talking about Spurs away enough. Very unlikely win there for us. I don't know. I'm going to stand by what I said. I think that today's game is it was harder because of the context. Because again, you've got to think of Forest fighting for their lives, set up 5 at the back, not really going to give City much space, pacey wingers. Spurs, on the other hand, are going to be a bit more open naturally. We saw that today. So there we go. It's shameless take risk there to win fouls, hold the ball, and calm things out. Well, no, he's also there to provide balance, which is much needed. If you can't see what he offers, that's fine, but that's a you problem. Taran says, why doesn't Pep start Nunes? He needs to arrest big players for the big names. He could have used Nunes against Chelsea. He doesn't trust him, clearly, does he? Otherwise, he would have been brought on, but he clearly doesn't trust him. So it would be very interesting what happens in the summer, because we all know that he was a panic buy. I think that's fair to say. It would be interesting to see what happens there. City can thank Foden and Rodri for winning the league. And I agree. This has been a season where individual brilliance has been the main story. I think that we maybe saw that like today, to be fair, with Foden not being involved, who has been our saviour for so long this season. Why are City fans so scared of the Spurs game? Well, it's just because we don't have a good history there, to be fair, Carnival. They are obviously a good side as well. Like, you know, they're like a big six side. They're good. We haven't scored a Premier League goal at their ground. So, yeah. Not a coincidence, our best performances the long unbeaten run have been when Grealish has been the starting 11, but no, he's a useless back passer who offers niche. Yeah. Again, people who say that Grealish offers nothing, I don't really want to talk to them about football because I don't think that they can offer me any value. To be honest, Grealish irreplaceable, yeah, 100%. Spurs with Ange is very different from how Spurs was when he struggled against them. You're not wrong, Carnivore, to be fair. And if they set up like they did in the FA Cup, then I would expect us to, because they gave us a lot of chances in that game, but Son wasn't there, and I don't think Van der Ven was there either. So it was a weakened Spurs side, that's for sure. Dan says, first game of the season, De Bruyne and Walker both were on the pitch, but De Bruyne had the armband. Why not now? Did the votes happen afterwards or something? I think maybe the vote happened after. I think they were still deciding at that point, Daniel, but then it didn't happen. Which game could Arsenal Pro lose? Well, Arsenal aren't going to lose a game. I'm very, very convinced of that. There is a world where they draw a game. There is a world where that happens. It's probably not going to be at home against Everton, who will be where it's the last day of the season. And in fact, let's double check, because they've only got 3 games left. Again, I think 2 of them are at home. So let's have a check, shall we? I'm pretty sure they play like someone easy at home. Yeah, Bournemouth at home, United away, Everton at home. Yeah. So there is surely no world in which Arsenal don't beat Bournemouth at home. I know anything can happen, blah, 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 but let's be honest, guys. They're beating Bournemouth at home. Bournemouth, I don't think, are playing for anything. Yeah, Bournemouth are 10th. They're fine. They're safe, obviously. They're too far away from the European spaces for that to be relevant, so that's whatever. Everton last day of the season, I don't think Everton would be fighting. I think Everton's, in fact, I think they haven't they mathematically confirmed their safety? They're on 36 points. Even if Luton win all 3 of their games, then they would go to 34. Yes, Everton are safe. So last game of the season, Everton irrelevant. The only question mark is Old Trafford. That is the only question mark. And you might laugh, because United are shit, and we all know that they are really bad at the football. We know that they're bad. We know that they are crap. There's a slight storyline, though. There is a slight storyline, because it would be United's last home game of the season. And there's obviously a big rivalry between United and Arsenal. The pressure will obviously be on, assuming City win all their games up until that point. There is a world in which, and we don't need United to win, Joe. There is a world where United can shithouse an undeserved 1-1 or a 0-0. That sort of thing. That's the only game I can see. Again, if they were going to drop points, today was the day against Spurs. That was the time. That was the day to drop some points. Hasn't happened. So I'm very, very convinced we're just going to have to do our job. And that's the thing, guys. Like, it doesn't even matter. It shouldn't even matter what Arsenal are doing. We are currently in charge of our own destiny. If we just focus on ourselves, then it doesn't matter. So that's the thing. That is the thing. Yeah, Rich, totally. You're one of the smart ones, Rich. That's for sure. Yeah, maybe, Ben. There is a world in which it happens. There is a world in which it happens. Lucky wins to Kitchen. Yeah, totally agree with that, mate. On another day, we concede at least 2 goals against Chris Woods, probably. The play shows, yeah, Zubair, and again, that's fair enough. I just worry that we've given him too much. It's now become a political situation where you can't like bench him because he's your captain, sort of thing. I don't think that you should be doing that. You should surely only do it for players who you know are going to start surely no matter what, like a Kevin De Bruyne, for example. I'd maybe like to see him be our next captain, and then probably Rodri after that, or maybe Ruben Dias. To be fair, there's so many captains. Maybe Foden one day. I don't know. I don't know if he's a leader. Foden was sick, Ben. Terrence says Grealish is extremely good, even reliable while defending and before transitions. Yeah, and they've got a lovely connection as well. Nobbins has Grealish's Nobbins lunged into him. He can't see how bad his performance has been. Assistant, again, I question your tactical insights, of which I don't think you have any, personally. Carnivore says, I think Bob can replace Grealish soon and become better than Grealish as well. Bob is a sensational player. I'm surprised he's not got more minutes, to be honest. United will do all we can to beat Arsenal, even if many of our fans want Arsenal to win the league instead of City. Yes, Carnivore. And please do it as well. Please do it, mate. Please. Foden was sick, but he's also getting some much needed rest now. Yes. Nice Umbreon picture, by the way. Is there anything else that we want to chat about in respect to this game, guys? Get your final comments and thoughts in. Please leave a like on the video if you are enjoying it. We've still got around 300 people watching. Haven't got to 150 yet. Let's get to at least 150, please, chaps. Leave a like on the video. Thank you. Is there anything else I wanted to touch on? Not really in terms of the specifics of the game. We do need a transfer window ASAP because this system is not suited to the current set of players we have. What else? What else? The system, if you're going to get, like, arsey about it, I'll just ask a moderator to time you out, to be honest, matey. I'm not in the mood. I never will be in the mood to deal with people like you. Chris, I think we stopped 2 from becoming invincible. Arsenal lucky we weren't in the league at the time. Marcelo's Ramage's captain, Champions League, yet he barely played, so why not Walker? Because Walker's a massive liability now, that's why. That's why. You know, United fans want Arsenal to win the league. Sure, but the players aren't going to care about that. Again, the players are going to be wanting to play for pride, etc. Are you going to join LB's panel show? We'll be doing an LBins tomorrow, Mad Dog. We'll be doing an LBins tomorrow. Sensational isn't enough for Pep. Needs to be perfect for him. Bob can do it all. In attack, says Jack. Big up, big up. First time here. You're doing a great job. Thanks. Love that from you, Andy. Glad you're enjoying yourself, mate. Yeah, we do these post-mortems where we analyse the game. We touch on topics, etc. And it's a Q&A sort of vibe as well. You know, when I feel like we've talked about the game enough. I don't really have too much else to say on it. I feel like I'd just be repeating myself. I don't think there's anything else I can really think about in respect to the game. So yeah, we're just sort of like chilling for now. Kova looks good, but do you think Imraj will be an 100% sub? Yeah, Kovacic is a big stopgap, in my opinion. A stopgap of which I don't think he's a long-term player. Very good for what he is right now. There is obviously a phase to his play which he does not have, nor will I think he will ever have. But there we go. I saw you defend City on the charges on the football. Terrace's Kishan, shout out to you. If you want my... Because I was going in like basically blind in respect of that show. I made a lot of mistakes in terms of what I said. I've done a video which actually analyzes it properly. Bjorn, thank you so much, man. Isn't that Norwegian kroner or something? I'm guessing you're from Norway because of that. Thank you so much, Bjorn. I mean, there's no message here. But that's a ridiculously generous super chat. Like, ridiculously generous. Thank you, mate. Are you from Norway? You must be Norwegian kroner. Because, like, there's Tony as well. And Tony's also from Norway. And Tony's, like, one of the most generous people ever. You Norwegians are, like, actually big up, man. I need to go to Norway. That's where all the beautiful people are. Thank you so much, Bjorn. You are a beautiful human being. Shall we kiss? That's a big W. Thank you so much, Bjorn. Yes, we turn to Pep when we get super chats. I love that for you. Again, that is ridiculously generous, Beyond. Thank you so much, mate. You don't understand. That means the world. I think isn't it like £40 or something? Isn't it 40 Great British pounds? It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. Thank you. I don't think it is it? I thought, am I being stupid? I might be being stupid. I thought Norwegian krona was a lot. I might be wrong. Either way, I don't care if it's worth 1p. Thank you so much. Do City need a new midfielder like Gundogan? Oh, it's free. Wait, hey, it's still very generous. Thank you so much. It's all the oil money. Yeah, that's still very generous. Thank you. It is a lot, Bjorn. It is a lot. Thank you so much. It is a lot. Don't be silly. Thank you, mate. You reckon Gibbs White could be a Foden sub? Wait, what? You reckon Gibbs White could be a Foden sub? No. You mean like for City? No. Thank God you're not on the board. Brilliant. Yes, guys. Right. I think with that, we're going to wrap up the stream because we'll be live for around an hour. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Thank you so much to the super chats. Thank you to Bjorn, to who else? Who else gave a super chat? To Andrew, to Second City Saint. Thank you so much. Jack, can you like ban this cunt because I'm bored of him? Thank you. I feel like we need a new midfield to control the games. I don't want either of them, Taryn. Bruno Guimaraes, though, I'd be well up for. This isn't a safe space, by the way. If you're a prick, then you're going to get treated as such, and you will get banned, and I'm not really interested in dealing with you, to be honest. So, you're just going to have to hold that. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll be back. When will I be back? Well, I'll be on LB's show tomorrow, LBins, so obviously join us for LB's channel. And, is it Champions League next week? Have I made that up? Champions League. I think it might be, you know. Yes, so we'll be doing those lives. Yeah, he's just a paedophile, clearly, isn't he? So he can fuck off because I don't want nonsense on my show. Until next, yeah. So we'll be doing some live shows for that, and we'll be doing more as well. If you have not followed the Twitch, what are you doing with your life? We also live stream games on Twitch, like Football Manager. So click that link. If you don't have a Twitch account, it's free to make one. It's just like YouTube, but it's specifically for streams. We'll be doing some Football Manager, some pro clubs probably next week, and just other bits and bobs as well. So make sure to follow me over there as well. Until next time, guys. You know, I'll do it. Hello there. I'll bloody do it. The little rat. Not interested in dealing with these sex offenders. Guys, thank you so much for joining me. And I'll see you next week for more. Goodbye, guys. Go on, City!